So let's call the meeting to order. Anna, if you would call roll, please.
Amit,
Yes.
Charnas,
Yes, here.
Vincent,
Here.
Terry, Silver,
Here.
Klein,
Here.
Duber.
Yes, I'll make a motion to approve the council meeting minutes of June 9th, 2021. Is there a second?
Second.
Okay, anybody have any comments? All right, no, if you call roll, please.
Amit,
Yes.
Charnas,
Yes.
Vincent,
Yes.
Silver,
Abstain.
Klein,
Yes.
Duber.
Yes. I'll make a motion to approve the special council meeting minutes of June 28th, 2021. Is there a
Second.
Thank you. Any comments? All right, if you would call roll, please.
Amit,
Yes.
Charnas,
Yes.
Vincent,
Yes.
Silver,
Yes.
Klein,
Yes.
Duber.
Yes. I'll make a motion to authorize the expenditure of an amount not to exceed $20,000 to purchase from Liberty Ford a 2021 Ford EcoSport as a replacement for the police department's unmarked detective bureau police vehicle. Is there a second?
Second.
Wow, that was a tie. Who was it?
Brett.
That was Brent. Brent threw up the pen.
Chief Kuster is here. If there's any questions about the car, the vehicle this is replacing, you had declared surplus a few months back and we already disposed of that
Quite a good price on that.
because it's not loaded with anything too special. Go ahead, Chris, you answer.
What do you use it for? What is it used for, Chris?
Yeah, it's used for numerous different reasons, but the fact of the matter is in the letter that I sent you, that it's usually we take one off of the old fleet. And this one didn't quite make it, and the engine seized, and the department determined that it was going to be more expensive to repair than worth doing because it was all the engine. So we put it up, and for the body we got $2,500. And I have to have that vehicle for the detective, and we need it for numerous different reasons. But you know, an unmarked car is very handy. I had 3 bids, and this was the only one that was under $20,000.
All right. Anybody have any other questions? All right. Anna, if you call roll, please.
Amit,
Yes.
Charnas,
Yes.
Vincent,
Yes.
Silver,
Yes.
Klein,
Yes, may we enjoy
Super.
many miles on it.
It will get
Yeah.
many years.
I'm sorry, Duber.
Yes. There is no audience, so there's no comments.
And Whitman.
Moving on to old business.
He's a reporter.
And what's that?
Anna mentioned that Ed Wittenberg is our audience this evening in case he wanted to speak.
Yeah, he doesn't want to speak.
He'll call us tomorrow.
Old business ordinance 2021-10 ordinance authorizing the issuance of notes in the amounts of not to exceed $5.5 million in anticipation of the issuance of bonds and in anticipation of the levy and collection of special assessments to acquire, construct, install, equip, and improve a recreational trail within Orange Village, together with all necessary proper appurtenances, retiring notes previously issued for such purpose, authorizing and approving related matters, and declaring an emergency. This is on for second reading. Is there any reason not to suspend the rules past this tonight?
Probably not, but it'd probably be better if you wait till next week so Dana can be here to answer any questions.
Oh, yeah. Okay, that'd be great. Okay. Does anybody have any comments on this?
Do you require or need Matt Stasinski to be available next week? Let me know if anyone feels the need.
I know I don't. Does anybody else need Matt? If you do, speak it. Okay.
Other
All
than
right.
we like him and would love to see him, I don't think we need him.
All right, easy enough. Moving on to ordinance 2021-11, an ordinance amending chapter 901 of the codified ordinances of Orange Village to enact new regulations applicable to work in the right of way and declaring an emergency. This is on for first reading. Mayor, do you want to?
I would like to pass this along to Steve to give the overview. I know you all just got it late today, but the intent of it is very simple, to control our right of way.
Yeah, this comes up in the context that we've just installed, $5 million of new assets that can get hit by people who are working in the right of way. By requiring them to submit plans now and get approval, we, have the opportunity to control what they're doing. And by putting an observer out there, we can avoid the damage that occurs subsurface that may take a while to be discovered. So it's time for this. We've explored this going back a couple of decades, and before you had the recreational trails, it wasn't as urgent as it is now. Now we've got, we don't want to damage the trails that just got installed. If we can avoid that happening, and if they do damage it, they need to come up shooting with the fix. So,
But more specifically, or to give more context, at least the thread of this that I would add to it, the conversation is that this is not something that we haven't known is exposed for decades, as Steve said. But in fact, the utilities were just working in Orangewood, and this is what exposed the fact that they don't have to follow our building codes. But if we put this in a different section of our code book, which one, Steve?
this is under the section that deals with streets and utilities.
Okay, so
And-
that
and-
allows us to make them follow our rules.
Yeah, and I think contractors have cooperated and have registered before. First Energy has now taken the position that they're going to observe their authority under state statute not to comply with building code requirements. So the contractor registration was under building code only. Now they're saying they don't have to comply with that. So now we're going to say folks who are doing utility works, contractor for utility works, have to register just like building code contractors. In fact, we cross-reference the standards that are set up in the building code. So this solves a couple of problems that have been sitting out there. And really, for 20 years, we've talked about it. We haven't had a problem until recently, and it's time to bring this up to speed.
And Steve, and we figured out a way to do it, right, Steve?
Yes, absolutely.
It's really, to boil it down to the basic thing, it's to allow us to have a little more say-so, control, and knowledge of what's happening in our right-of-way. Bob Zugan, you feel strongly about this. You have anything to add to what Steve or I said?
Is this something the utility companies can challenge then, or no, once it's passed, they follow these rules?
Well, because we're not putting it in the building
I
code.
think the village explored some time ago doing a cost recovery, charging of fees. And that's where you really get to running into challenges from the public utilities. I don't expect that there will be a challenge to this ordinance. There's no question that you have the police power to require plan review and that sort of thing, to require construction observation. There's a provision in the Ohio Revised Code that you can't collect a bond from an entity that's regulated by the Public Utility Commission. And so our ordinance provides that we don't collect a bond, but they will pay an invoice for the charges that we incur on their behalf from our engineer and from the observer. So
along with restoration and other things that they might not comply with.
yes.
And this
That's
board-
that's one of the important things is monitoring and following not only contractors, but their subcontractors that we have teeth to actually pursue to make people restore our
Yeah.
residents' properties when they're in the right of way.
I can,
And 20 years ago, the utilities were less confrontational about expenses. They would comply and just do things as directed. I think, Bob, you've seen that change in their behavior.
Yeah, I mean, the things that are going on now, if you take a look historically, Waterford, Cambridge, Oxford, everything's underground. And that the situation that's brought this to light is underground work in Orangewood. Typically, when a development comes in, the developer puts in all those utilities, turns it over as a dedicated road, and they take it from there. So this sort of really came to front. And one of the first times that First Energy actually came in to replace conduits in an area, or put in conduit to help repair some failing lines. So, and that's where the exposure came in. And I think Steve's right on. I mean, this should protect the village and give us a little bit of more teeth of monitoring who's working, what are they doing, observation, and make sure that, you know, the village's infrastructure and everything's, you know, sought after and made sure it's taken care of.
I do want to say that unlike other ordinances, this was a very collaborative ordinance that was reviewed, input was given, reviewed, and approved by service director, building commissioner, village engineer, and law director. I don't know if the police reviewed it or not, but this was worked on for a little bit.
Chief Costura's opinions are always welcome.
But did we get any?
Oh, I'm sure we did.
can I ask a question, Steve, about the?
You just did.
Of course. Wait. I'm never going to get out of this. So we don't want to waste everybody's time. In the new development in Lakes of Orange, the utility companies are installing the laterals from their mains to the houses, whether it's the electric company, the gas company, whatever. Will this have the same teeth for them in that development? Because there's
when you get a chance to read the ordinance, you will be interested by new section 0.09 that we put in today at the request for Brian Mader. There is a separate process that they follow for connections in the right of way, which are less significant. I mean, they're just usually just a one quick location and the connection. So it's a lesser burden that's put on them, that they're still required to restore whatever it is that they mess with, you know, disturb in doing the connection, but it's a lesser, and we plug in an existing form that we use.
Well, I think it's important that they have timely restoration to
Yeah,
existing properties.
take a look at the ordinance and
All
see
right,
if
I'll
you're,
look at it.
you know
Okay.
what to
You
look
have
for.
time. If you have questions, bring it up.
Is this something that's going to be referred to planning commission before we act on it, or how is? or
It's
this just-
it doesn't have to. It's not a
Oh,
zoning
no.
ordinance.
Okay.
When and if
Just
this
read it and then
passes-
ask whatever questions you have.
just a
Okay,
quick
thank
question.
you.
When and if this passes, what's the notification so that the utility companies know that there's been a change? Do we put something on our website, or what is that notification process?
Yeah, we'll be in contact with the representative. They have public representatives that we have, and we can give them calls. Anna probably knows the names of Dominion East Ohio and Spectrum and everybody. So
Thank you.
Any other comments on this? Again, probably not everybody's had a chance to read it, so. Okay, all right, moving on to ordinance 2021-12, an ordinance amending section 1162.09 Codified Ordinances of Orange Village to require all vehicles in residential neighborhoods to be parked on a hard surface and not in the public right of way. This is on for first reading. As you can see, this is an existing ordinance, but it has a change to it. It's just that all vehicles have to be, it's that F, section F, subsection F, all vehicles parked outside residential property must be parked on paved surfaces, basically so people can't park on the grass or right at the edge of the driveway on the grass when they're selling cars or anything like that, or have RVs on the grass.
How might this impact people if you're having a big event at your house and you have lots of people and they want to park on your lawn?
I asked the same question. Chris, what did you say?
Chances are by the time we get a complaint and get a notice out that there's a violation, the party should be over by then.
You never know, Steve.
Wishfully thinking, but a lot of
It's
times.
about cars.
People call us for permission. And secondly, you can tell the difference because we would permit it as well if their driveway was being seal coated or something. So there's times we understand what we're trying to prevent, I believe, are the ones that don't have that exception and they're using the property for the wrong reason. Correct?
Too many houses were starting to look like car dealerships.
What's the flags and pinwheels that are really distracting?
So this is going to be referred to planning and zoning. Sorry for cutting off your not funny jokes, Steve. But I applaud the effort.
Somebody needs to.
Anybody have any comments on this before we move on?
So really the only change from the current ordinance is section F, is that correct?
Correct.
That's it.
Okay.
There have been complaints about cars on grass, and I think, Chris, you indicated you had been noticing it as well.
I have. And multiple vehicles at one residence. We went and spoke to them and they complied. But the cars out there actually did belong to them.
All right. Nothing else. Again, no audience, so no comments. So, Mayor.
Okay, a few things. First, manner of business. Orangewood Trail, they pretty much finished phase one, not completely, but pretty much. And then we had Lander Road closed down and there was too many people trapped in there, too many places. So the construction people went and did something else. Was it 2 weeks, Bob? It was maybe for 2 weeks. They could return on Monday and I imagine they will whip right through the rest of Orangewood. They look good. I think people are very happy with them. And we are also going to close the gap between Waterford Court and the Woodmere corporate line because there's about 150 feet there that we didn't put the trail in. But now that Woodmere is going ahead to do that, we'll be back at you for, authorization for the way we're going to do it. But it's either going to be an add-on to Katz or we're just going to use Woodmere's person who's there. So to be determined. And now that I brought that up about Brainerd Road, once Lander opens and hopefully Pepper Pike will close it before Woodmere closes Brainerd, but we've communicated with them and hopefully Brainerd is not supposed to close until Lander is completely open and Brainerd will be closed for at least 5 weeks and it will be southbound only traffic. All right, I bet Stacy will talk about the Kiwanis Club rummage sale. Okay, branch chipping starts again on July 19th. In the most recent e-news, we told you all about the election and where to come and how to vote. And we have a primary special election for our congressional district. So it's an important election because whoever wins the primary is most likely going to win the general in November. On a serious note now, on Thursday, June 17th, as you probably, I think we notified each and every one of you of an incident that took place in Pinecrest that involved upwards of 1,000 juveniles. And if the crowd had just sat and watched the movie and remained orderly, they would have been very welcome to do so. Early on, the police did observe that the crowd was calm and lawful. It wasn't until demonstrated behaviors by the juveniles created a situation requiring the decision to change our posture, tactics, and numbers. And although he does not want to be named, or spotlighted or credited. We had Lieutenant Roberts, who showed up there on a whiff of an issue and commanded the whole operation, which when they were getting out of control, we had called in mutual aid. We were assisted by Chagrin Falls, Moreland Hills, Pepper Pike, Woodmere, Solon, Shaker Heights, Warrensville Heights, Beechwood, Hunting Valley, Bentleyville, Bainbridge, South Russell, the county sheriff, and the Ohio State Highway Patrol. We can all, each one of us, everyone in the community can and should be very, very proud and impressed with the level of restraint and professionalism displayed by each and every officer from every department that was on the ground attempting to restore order and prevent injury or loss of property. This was especially impressive given the scale and speed in which the wild and chaotic crowd began to move. Officers, one for every 100 people? I don't know. I didn't do the math, but for every 50 kids at least, the officers found themselves in the face of extreme provocation, and they had legitimate concern for their own safety, all while responding with the highest level of restraint and professionalism. This incident confirms my belief and can help underscore all of our belief that when speaking of our agency, and specifically our police officers, they are trained and they operate with the principles of dignity, fairness, equality, honesty, integrity, and discipline. And those principles are worthy of earning and keeping the public trust, which we consider the highest honor bestowed upon a police force is the public trust. The Orange Village Police Department remains committed to keeping the public trust. The bigger issues of what was behind and out of our control, the bigger issues of social media flash mobs and newly lifted COVID restrictions, it's a societal issue, especially as many of these juveniles, most, were non-driving young juveniles. They were being dropped off by their parents, and obviously these parents thought this was a very safe place for their pre-driving age children to be dropped off. But there were too many unsupervised children at Pinecrest. So I guess in summary, I'll just close that it was an incident that was beyond anything we'd ever anticipate, expect, hope for, want. And we really learned a lot. And for me, the takeaway is how wonderful our officers and their helpers responded to dispersing the crowd. And the higher, bigger issues, I don't know where we solve them, but we can, it's out of our control at our level. That's all I have to say.
Thanks, Mayor. Mayor, it looks like there's a couple of houses on Brainerd that almost look abandoned. Do you know if that's the case? And
I'm not aware, but if you could drive by, send me an address or something, we'll get on it.
Okay.
I guess somebody could drive down Brainerd and guess which ones you mean, but
I think it's a pretty easy guess. There's, I think, two in particular.
well, we can play hide and seek, or you can just send me the addresses.
Yeah, okay.
Brandon, I think one of them, I think I saw our service department cutting the lawn at one of them, if I'm not correct.
Oh,
Okay, one of them doesn't even look like it has a driveway anymore. It's just like grass, basically all the way across. Do we know if that's a?
We're
Well,
on
nobody
Brainerd.
on this call right now knows for sure. But so if you give me the addresses, or I can get people tomorrow to track this down.
We're on Brainerd, roughly what, near what?
I mean, I guess it's, I don't know.
There's a couple, I believe there's a couple just north of Orange Tree, Jackson Drive,
Yeah.
west side. Yeah, there's a number of vacant homes around the village. I believe.
Does the village then just take on the burden of cutting the grass and,
Well, we notify them first when it gets above 6 inches. We give them 3 days, and if they don't take care of it, we go in, we do it, and we assess it to their taxes.
but if they're just abandoned homes at this point, and there's just like
But there's
literally
gonna be an
nothing.
owner.
What's that?
There's gonna be an owner. I mean, if it's an abandoned home, there's still an owner that we'll track down. I mean, there could be a unique set of circumstances that in each case, but we can track down the owner.
Okay. I'm sure Bob, you know which ones I'm talking about, but,
Yeah,
All right.
Bob McLaughlin will be back next week, but
Yeah.
Bob Zugan and,
that's what I was referring to Susan, but since I see that precious smile right there, but, yes, I will get some address.
thank you.
All right, I don't think I have any other comments. Mr. Silver,
I noticed that the playground bathroom foundation looks like it's been laid. Is there an ETA on arrival for that?
Well, we know that our facility is ready. Now we're just waiting for the person who's delivering it to tell Bob Zugan when he's getting the crane and picking it up and delivering it. So what do you think, Bob? A week, 2 weeks?
Well, we just got confirmation from the company today that the structure is constructed, built. They're waiting on the electrical main panels, and he's supposed to get back with me. I would assume, bad word, that's within July, month of July. Hopefully it'll be in place, but that doesn't mean it's going to necessarily be open. We'll have to do the walkways around there and some other things we have to trench in for the electric service to the facility as well.
Okay. Okay, thank you. I think Stacy and I are going to get the ball rolling on Orange for the Holidays here very shortly. If there's anyone that would like to assist us, it's really just making calls to a couple businesses to see if they're interested in doing it again or joining for the first time. We would appreciate any help we could get. Just let us know. That's all I got.
all right, thank you. Mr. Comment?
No comments.
Mr. Charnas?
The mayor said it very well, but I will latch on to that. Chief, I understand you were there that night as well. I talked to Lieutenant Roberts, and to the mayor's point, while he wants very little credit, he does want, and he did express how impressed he was, and he thought all the credit goes to other members of the Orange Village, as well as the other people that created the mutual aid. And I have also spoken to a few owners at Pinecrest who are very thankful, Chief, that that Orange Village Police responded in such a professional way and took what could have been a horrible situation, still horrible, but made it something that they're proud to still be there, and they're proud to know that they are safe, and that the Orange Village Police responds accordingly. So I'm just relaying that on to you, your whole staff. And that's all I have.
The fact that there were no injuries and no property damage is nothing short of a miracle, if you ask me, considering the number of people that were there.
And the videos you saw.
And the videos were pretty scary. Yeah.
Yep. All right, thank you, Mr. Klein.
Planning Commission did not meet this week. We're meeting next week. Our meeting was rescheduled to accommodate Bob McLaughlin's vacation. And we have a pretty healthy agenda for next week. So we'll be back on Wednesday.
7 new houses, Judd.
I know. I knew about that. Again, I want to echo what everybody already has said about our police department and their handling of the Pinecrest situation. I can't thank them enough for the restraint and professionalism and how they conducted what could have been an absolute disaster for not only the people who were there, but the community at large. I also want to thank Bob Zugan and the mayor when this issue came up with Pupper Pike putting on us that they were going to close off Lander Road, a number of residents from Orangewood came to me and said, how are we getting out of here? We're really stuck. And I recognized that the work had kind of come to a cessation on the trail, and suggested the possibility of, maybe we could get rid of the barricades on the trail side that is not being constructed yet, and wait for them to get back in place. And both Bob Zugan and the mayor were very accommodating to help us allow that to happen. So our residents, while they can only travel northbound on Lander Road while this work is going on, at least they have the accessibility to it that they would not otherwise have easily. So thank you for that effort. And last thing, and I'll let Stacy pick up on this, the Racial Equity, Diversity, and Inclusion Committee has a scheduled meeting for tomorrow evening, and we hope that you members of council might attend. We're going to talk about a number of things that I think will be of value to the.
Where's the agenda and the Zoom link? Is it on website? I haven't seen it anywhere. It's on our website?
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah, it's been posted, and we're good to go for that. And I'll just let Stacy pick up with her announcement on the Rummage sale and the Racial Equity Committee.
Thanks, Mr. Klein. Ms. Vincent?
You. Well, I will also echo everybody else's sentiments to thank our police officers for their role in minimizing what could have been a far worse situation. I know there were a lot of people who were very scared that night, and having our officers there, I know lessened what was a very scary situation for them. So thank you for the role that you guys played in making sure it didn't get worse than it could have been. I also want to send out a huge thank you to Anna for coordinating the community garage sale. As a participant, I can say it was extremely well organized, and she was especially accommodating with our last minute changes, and I know others too, so thank you for that. One note I have for the future, maybe adjusting times a bit so folks don't have to sit outside for 6 hours a day. Probably might be a good thing to look into for next year, maybe like a 9 to 1 on Saturday to hit the morning and lunchtime rush, and then maybe just a 12 to 2 on Sunday for the after church, after temple crowd. Most of our visitors came very, very early on Saturday. In fact, many of them came pretty close to 8 a.m. when we were still setting up. So we know they like to get out early and get the good deals and the good bargains or whatever, but the afternoon got kind of long sitting and waiting for people to come by. So maybe we could just consolidate.
You even had somebody pitching your ad. I saw a professional sales pitch for your garage sale.
Yeah, yeah. Caden is available to be your used car salesman anytime you want. He's very good at that. So he did draw in a few buyers, so that was good. So anyway, but overall it was a big success once again. So I want to thank her for her work. One other note on that is the mayor mentioned our good folks at Lander Circle Kiwanis are still collecting. So if you have any leftover items that you're out, anyone listening, please donate them. They're still taking things. And then most importantly, please support them by going to their sale next week. So the dates and times, I believe are posted on our website, but I'll make sure to send them on to Anna if they're not. Thursday, July 15th from 10 to 3 and 5 to 8. Friday, July 16th from 5 to 8, and Saturday, July 17th from 10 to 3. Cash and credit cards are accepted. This is their big fundraiser each year, and they do so much for the schools and the surrounding community. So the more help, the more purchases, you can buy those little 50 cent, 10 cent, 20 cent items, all add up. So please go support them and find your buried treasures. News from the last school board meeting was all very well documented in the local papers the past 2 weeks. So I'm not going to waste your time regurgitating what you probably have already read. But I will share that the only school board meeting for July is scheduled for this Monday, if anyone's interested. And I believe they intend to go back to an in-person board meeting schedule moving forward, not any more Zooming. So if you want to go, Monday night. And on a personal note, if you happen to go by Heinen's, please check out all of my photos encapsulating this past school year on the front board. It was definitely a year to remember. which is also the theme for our calendar moving forward, which will be available at the end of the month to students' families. If anyone wants to pick up a copy, and yes, I will bring a few by Orange Village Hall as well, so that we can pass those out to the residents. And then last, but certainly not least, I want to pay my respects to Orange Village resident Bill Koner, who passed away just a few days ago, really to the surprise of so many, including myself. He was truly the embodiment of healthy living. I visited with his family yesterday, and they all responded how much he loved being a part of Orange Village, the community, and especially his work on the READY program and the working group. His passion for somatics, as some of you heard, and his passion for community engagement was readily evident. And I was so grateful to have his support as a neighbor and friend these past years that I've known him. I met him officially while campaigning, but our lives were actually connected on many different fronts prior to that. I will miss his spirit at our meetings, and we plan to pay tribute to him at our READY meeting tomorrow night. So I hope, as Judd said, you will join us then. Bill, if you're listening from up above, may you rest in peace for all eternity, and may your memory continue to be a blessing. I am personally better for having known you. So if anyone else would like to share any thoughts on Bill, you're welcome to do so at our meeting. We will have a moment of silence in his honor and memory tomorrow night. That's all I have. Thank you.
All right. Thank you for your comments. All right. I think we're good. So we will adjourn. All right. Good night, everybody.
Hey, my internet held up for the